Hey everybody. So I was just in the shower, and I think a lot of people could probably relate to this, but whenever I'm in the shower, I get really deep in thought. And a lot of times when like later when I get out of the shower, I kind of forget all those words I wanted to say while I was in the shower. So I guess this video is me just getting words out of my head and into the open before I lose the right words I want to say. Um, and I know a lot of you watching probably you already believe in reparations for slavery, and I'm not gonna say anything you haven't already thought of. But this video is more for people who haven't really considered the idea that we need reparations for slavery, even though it's 2020. Especially, probably some of my fellow white Americans might not have thought about it because it's not something you really have to think about a lot. So I guess I just wanted to bring it up and maybe just put that idea in one other person's head that it's something that needs to happen. So, first thing I want to say is that slavery was only abolished 155 years ago, which might sound like a lot, but it's really not. It's only less than 2 human lifetimes. I think it would be really helpful if you tried for a second just to put yourself in the shoes of someone who was enslaved as much as you can. I mean, you can never really know what that's like, but to try to imagine what it would be like if you had just been freed, if slavery had just been abolished, and you are free, but you have nothing, like nothing. Like you have no property, you don't have a home, you don't have money, you don't have possessions. Like maybe you're separated from your family. I don't know. You have literally nothing. You have no authority in society, and no one else has anything either. Your family and friends also have none of those things. So you can't just go to your mom's house and be like, hey, can I sleep in your spare room for a while until I get my own place? And you can't go to your uncle's place and be like, hey, do you think you could try to help me get a job at your business? And you can't go to your brother and be like, hey, can you just give me a small loan maybe because I'm on some hard times. I just got freed from slavery and, I have nothing. Do you think you could give me a little bit of a loan until I get back on my feet? Like, you can't. They couldn't go to their family or their friends because they were all in the same situation. They all had nothing. All of the Black Americans after slavery was abolished, for the most part, were left with nothing because everything was taken from them by slavery when they were forcefully brought to America and taken from their homes and everything they knew and had, and not allowed to have anything of their own, really. So and the US government was concerned about how people would cope in the aftermath of emancipation. They did pay reparations to the slave owners, to the white people who had enslaved other people. The government paid reparations to them because they lost property. And they didn't even acknowledge that the Black Americans who had just been freed from being enslaved they lost property. They lost more than property. They lost everything. They had nothing. And it was because of the US government. It was because the US government made it legal to enslave them, for them to not have any rights, no protection. And the government didn't feel that they owed those Black Americans reparations, but they owed the white Americans who lost their property. So I guess at this point, I'm getting a little sidetracked because I'm not trying to argue that the government should have paid reparations back then, because I think everyone agrees, any decent person agrees that, yeah, they obviously should have paid reparations to the Black people who were being emancipated at that time then. But I just want to argue that it's not too late, that it still matters, that the pain, the evil of slavery still affects the black community in America today, because those freed slaves that I was just describing, those enslaved people that had just been emancipated, not only did they have nothing, but they're very limited in ways that they could make a better life for themselves because of the society they lived in, and because of the fact that no one in their families or communities had anything to help them. So they were passing down poverty to their children and their children after that. And meanwhile, white people were able to pass down money, land, businesses, like reputation, a family name. They were able to pass down so much. Like, white people owned all of the property and resources in America, and they were passing those on to their family like anyone would want to do. But then black people didn't have that to pass down to their families. And the worst part was the white people were also passing down racism and an entitlement that they deserved everything they had. And that just, it doesn't go away. And the worst thing that the white people were passing down was that belief that black people are less than human, because that is the belief that white people had to have ingrained in themselves to even be able to enslave and own another person. Like, in order to do that, in order to be able to do something like that, you have to really truly believe that that person is less human than you. So, and the U.S. government was not only complicit, but an active part in dehumanizing black Americans and allowing racism to, allowing slavery to happen. So the U.S. government is responsible in so many ways for slavery, what happened after slavery, for the situation that the black community is in today. And I'm not saying, like, I was talking about how white people pass down wealth and property and all that, but I'm not saying that white people are all well off. Like, there are poor white people, but no white Americans are poor because the U.S. government enforced the idea that they were less than human and ensured that everything was taken from them. No white American is poor for that reason. And I tried to write down everything I wanted to say, and I just haven't even looked at it this whole time. Yeah, so basically I said everything. I said, and I think even though it might feel like it's too late, it's still necessary that as a nation we just officially and publicly acknowledge the fact that slavery hurt more than those people that were enslaved. It hurt their kids, and then it hurt their kids, and their kids, and it hurts every single person in America that has the skin color that was used to justify slavery, because it was used to dehumanize people in order to enable slavery. And that didn't go away. That idea of people with black skin being lesser didn't go away. It takes a lot longer than a couple generations for an idea that pervasive and that ingrained into our country to go away. And I think what we need to do, one of the things we need to do, is acknowledge it and pay some overdue reparations. We already paid the slave owners. We paid the people who enslaved black people to apologize for their loss of property. Can we please finally pay those who are still affected by the legacy of slavery in America, because it still has an effect on us today. And I think the argument that like a lot of people use is like, oh, reparations is a really nice idea, but it's not practical. Like, how can you decide who should get them? It's just too complicated. But I mean, it's no matter what criteria you use to decide who gets reparations and who doesn't, it's not going to be perfect. But even if some people who deserve reparations don't get them, and some people who didn't deserve reparations do get them, even if that happens, wouldn't that be worth it to get reparations to as many people as we possibly can that do deserve it, as many Black Americans that are still alive and living in the aftermath of what slavery has done to our ideas of Black people, to our concept of race, to generations of poverty passed down because their livelihoods were stolen from them by the U.S. government. Like, I just don't think that fear of doing something not perfectly should keep you from doing it at all, because even if we mess up, even if it's not perfect process, if we pay reparations, at least something will have been done positive, and at least some people will have gotten something to try to equal the playing field. It's obviously not a solution for everything, not even close, but it's just like the bare minimum. It's the bare minimum that our country needs to do. Like the bare minimum. But yeah, I don't know. Okay, I guess I said everything I wanted to say. I don't know. If anybody watched this and maybe like you hadn't really considered reparations before, and this put that idea in your head that it's something that we need, then I'm happy. That's all I want. I just want more people to think about it, and hopefully we can pressure politicians to do something about it if enough of us are vocal about how necessary reparations are for slavery. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Bye.